Everyone, this is Lenise Willis, Editor-in-Chief of Gifts and Decorative Accessories, and we just released some exciting news, a breaking news about a new digital marketplace. So Brandwise just announced that early in 2021, it will be launching a new digital ordering platform, and we've brought them on today to talk a little bit more about it. So today we have Todd Litzman, co-founder and CEO of Brandwise, and Ari Lowenstein, Chief Strategy Officer. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
So I want to get started really quickly and just give everyone a brief recap of what Big Map is, your new digital marketplace, and what makes it so unique, what sets it apart from the rest.
Sure. Thanks very much. So when we think about everything kind of within the Brandwise world and the way we do things, it's always important that we're inclusive of all of our stakeholders, which is, of course, the retailers, the sales reps, the agencies, and the suppliers' brands, right? To make sure that they all, have a platform and have a place to be in it. So with Big Map, we kind of went back into everything that we've sort of always done, and said, how do we have a platform that's going to give the retailer the place they want to shop and discoverability that the brands want, but still keep sales reps and agencies in the middle of that process, so that you still get the advantage of having a sales rep receive an order prior to it getting to the supplier based on choice and the way that the system's designed, so we can continue to get the value of that sales rep working with that retailer. That's kind of the bedrock of what our industry's been since we've been in this. So when you look at that key differentiator, it's really seamlessly and transparently making sure that we can keep the sales reps and the agencies in the middle of the transaction to provide the consultative nature of what they do every day.
Absolutely.
There's the Tech Talk article that column that we put in Gift and Deck last month talked about real stats. The reasons for this are many for why we've taken this direction, but one of them is good business. The article talks about, in the data that we looked at over $4 billion of data, and we found that when a salesperson with local knowledge, trained on that line, who understood all the aspects of that store, is involved with a sale, there's a 2.5 times higher likelihood that that sale is going to have a reorder. That means that the better products were chosen, the consumers bought them, and then they placed a reorder with that supplier, which is what our whole industry is about. That high level of reorder rate, 70 to 80%, is the key. And so for that, it's not only that it's important for all of our stakeholders, as Todd said, but it's also good business for all of our stakeholders. Right. It's good business for suppliers. It's obviously great business for retailers. I mean, that's, if what you order sells, that's the whole point.
That's the key. Yep.
Absolutely. And obviously this idea is extremely timely. I mean, we're amid a global pandemic, less people are traveling. We've been talking about for months, about coronavirus and its effects on the retail and gift industry. But this idea has actually been in the works for quite some time. It wasn't just something that popped out of the global pandemic reaction. So tell me a little bit about how long ago you guys started brainstorming this and what sparked that idea.
Yeah, it's funny how long ago it was when I think about it, because I think about everything was like 2 years ago. But I think it's been close to 10 years ago, we came out with a concept called BW Connect, which was a marketplace. And it was a marketplace that enforced territories on the web. But it was way before its time. It was just, it was premature for where everybody is, not just because of the pandemic, but just from a technology perspective and a comfort level of purchasing online and how the interactions went and so on and so forth. So the idea was a long, long time ago. Within the last few years, about 3 years ago, we made an investment into a new platform to build out all of the technology that's now releasing. So from then, we really started saying, okay, we know that we need to have this, what we called at the time, kind of this hybrid notion that you'd have an online and a retail or offline component that sort of worked together. The pandemic just shed a giant spotlight on what we were already doing, kind of illuminated the roadmap that we already had, and said, okay, we need to just get there faster, and we need to be able to do that better. So what the pandemic did was really give us the opportunity over the last number of months to bring sales reps for a period of time that were at home and explain to them how to leverage these digital and virtual tools in conjunction with their normal stuff, as well as suppliers, and how to do what they needed to do. And they were able to educate retailers in that same fashion. But I think it's an idea that's been coming for a long time, and the pandemic just said, okay, its time is now. And that's what we've really been hearing and seeing from everybody around.
Yeah. And
around
the fact that buyers, retailers are also consumers. They are aware of Amazon and other platforms that they use, and it's a way of buying now. So the question was, how do you get the best out of that while still preserving the value of the salesperson, which is what's so important, which is also what makes the process that Brandwise has used more complex. Whether or not retailers know it, they've been ordering through Brandwise for years through their sales reps. And that's why we have over 4,500 of them across the country. And the beauty of what we're doing, and I think the importance of it, is that when this idea came real clarity, our stakeholders are suppliers, are retailers, are everyone, whether or not every bit of business that they've been doing historically has gone through Brandwise. So this is also the way we've designed this is that everyone gets to preserve that value in a very agnostic, neutral way. This is the way the structure works when the orders go that way. They will get into the hands of a salesperson that the supplier has identified, who the supplier is trained, and we find huge value in that.
Yep.
Absolutely, and I love that you pointed out too. I think it's important to remember that I expect it to be a very well thought out platform because it's been in the works for so long. You already have a robust amount of 290,000 retailers within your ecosystem already, 4,500 reps already in the ecosystem. So just wanted to point that out, that I think is a pretty good indicators of a successful model for sure.
Right. Sure. Thank you. Yep.
I want to talk a little bit about product discovery because, for a lot of our retailers and our readers, the digital platforms are wonderful for them to be able to find new vendors, new products. They can do it any hour. I had one retailer say at 3 a.m. she sits in her bed and looks, for new products online. It's because it's not limited. So how will your site, kind of be conducive to that product discovery and exploration?
Yep. So it's interesting. The background that we got in with the multi-line agency sort of set us up perfectly for a marketplace because it's being able to shop across or being able to find product across brands. And that's always been just from the get-go, the way our products have been developed. So if it was a rep working with the retailer that said, I need stuff that's blue, or I need stuff that's this tall, or I need this type of product, the rep could go into their Play device and they could search across all their different brands they carry. So you just take that up now to the next level when we talk about the marketplace, where a retailer can go on. And as we continue to build out, we've got a very powerful search engine that's driving the platform, and it's intelligent where it learns based on what's happening. So you score different things based on the number of searches, either by an individual retailer that logged in or globally across the site, based on data that's input by the brands or the suppliers themselves, and what's searched by the retailers. So all of that starts to build up into discovery based on, like we just talked about, I'm looking for lamps, or I'm looking for blue, or I'm looking for blue lamps that are 36 inches tall, or I'm looking for stuffed animals, or whatever that is. Then you get across brand. So it'll just show you, here's all of the things that fit that bill. And it'll score it based on the specifics of what you put in. So if you said blue stuffed animal, that's what's going to be at the top. And then as you continue to go down, it's going to show stuffed animals, and it may show blue animals, and it may show different things like that. But it's just the nature of the way the search engine works. And as it gets smarter and smarter, particularly for a specific retailer, will help you with the types of searches that you typically put into the site. So kind of standard in the way that stuff goes. But discoverability is a huge part of what we've always done. And it just carries itself into the global platform that way.
I'm going to translate a little bit about what Todd said there. So the search engine is very powerful, and right now across all sites, you open up, whether you open up Google first or Facebook first or Amazon first or Twitter or anywhere that you're looking, whether you're looking at hashtags or you're looking at trending pieces or trending ideas, all of that is data. The power of the search engine, the platform that Brandwise purchased 3 years ago when they started this, was they understood that was key. Because a retailer, why do they go to a trade show? They go to a trade show because they want to walk down an aisle and they want to look and they want to see things. And replicating that to some extent is really hard because it's very random, right? There's a plush company, there's a stationery company, there's a tabletop company. So, but trying to, on the other hand, replicate the experience that someone has digitally I want to say that's easier, but that's something that's more that there's a roadmap for that. So the platform that it's built on is built to incorporate all of that. A lot of the onus is going to be on the suppliers themselves, as it is now with any other platform, that data they are inputting, or they're being the conduit for that, right, for their own product. And then what Todd's talking about is this learning that happens, is that as other retailers start looking for certain things and clicking on certain things and looking at certain things, that will increase the likelihood that other retailers will see that when they do a similar search. So that's the combination. It has the ability to take in the data from the suppliers, and it has the ability to present that in an intelligent way to the retailers. So all of that functionality is there on the roadmap, and we're excited. We already get to play around with it a bit, some of the other marketplaces we've put together. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I love, I know we already mentioned that it loops in a sales representative, but for me, I think that's a big part of that product discovery. I know in earlier interviews for the breaking news article, you mentioned that because a retailer, can place an order, that order is then routed to a sales representative in their local area. They also benefit from that sales rep relationship, getting further recommendations or product details.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, and like we said in the article, the other thing that we've learned in 23 years of doing this and talking with thousands and thousands of sales reps and retailers is, having that person that says the logic that goes on in the search engines and the data goes to a certain amount, but then having the gut feel or that experience that a rep has to come in and say, I know that a lot of people have bought it, but it's just not a big seller in your geography, or there's a lot of retailers that have bought it in a small radius, so it's a bit oversaturated. That's the piece where the sales rep really comes in handy as well as recommendations. So there's a number of different elements that they play that make the order a better order.
And I think it's important also that when you're looking at discovery and you're looking at different marketplaces, that there's a key differentiator here in terms of that interaction with the salesperson. Salespeople earn their living on commission, right? They do their job, they introduce products, they manage territories, they make sales presentations, they do a lot of customer service. That commission is paid by a supplier. So in doing the way we built our model, we intentionally have created a model with a very low fee to the supplier. So that salesperson can still be included in this process. It's not generosity or just goodwill, it's good business, because that leads to a better result. Some of the marketplaces basically take either equivalent or more than what a salesperson could earn. Or what an internal salesperson or supplier might work. So what we're saying is we're not claiming that. We're offering discovery, we're offering the ability to place an order, we're offering all of these pieces. But that value of making a good sale, we're not claiming that. We want you to talk to a human. We want you to work with somebody who introducing you to a line. Are you in the mountains? Are you by the sea? Is it the summer? Is it the winter? What else is in the store? What's across the street? Are you a store that people drive to? Are you a store that people walk to? Are you, all of those things? That person provides that value. So we're making sure to leave space for those people to do their work, and for suppliers to compensate them.
Absolutely. So I want to remind viewers as well, if you do have a question, you can submit that in the Q&A portion at the bottom, or comment your question. And when we get to the end, we'll open it up to some live Q&A, and I will certainly relay those questions. I had a follow-up question about the search tool. I know you guys already talked about it a little bit, but one thing I really do like about some other digital platforms is how their search tool works, and retailers are able to specifically search for products by Black makers, for example, which is a really big thing right now, and certainly something we're looking more for. Can you talk a little bit more about how your search tool could progress?
Yep, and there's different components of it as well, Lenise, outside of the search tool. But again, to Ari's point, it's about what data gets put into the system. So there's a whole bunch of elements, whether it's product description or keywords or web descriptions or features or all of these that are all searchable. But then it's also categorization. So we'll end up with multiple levels of categorization. One, that the supplier or the brand can create their own categories, and then the ability of where they get grouped as well. So the higher level groupings, then the brands, then their individual categories. But the keywords or which could be hashtag words, or they could be whatever they want to be, are searchable from that perspective. As the hashtag piece gets into it from social media links, where out of social media, somebody comes in with that link, that all gets logged as activities within the data. So we know that, okay, it came from here based on this hashtag, and they can start to be used within the search engine to start to understand that this brand or these products are related to black makers or something to that effect. So it can be across any of those. Anywhere where somebody's saying, I'm an artisan, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm the other.
Handmade.
Yeah, exactly. You can start to build those type of algorithms.
Woman-owned companies, local companies, all of this, and basically our job is to make sure that we're prompting the suppliers, right, the brands, the makers, to say, here are different aspects that you might want to describe yourself. Here are different categories you might want to put yourselves in. The number of iterations of this are truly limitless. There's some people that want employee-owned companies, right? They want to look at employee-owned companies. So let's click on this, and they'll be looking at all companies that are employee-owned. So all of those are not only possible, but they're on the roadmap. And the more, as we go forward, something new will come up, and we'll add that as well. So that's going to be exciting. And hopefully we'll be getting a lot of feedback from our suppliers as to how their buyers are finding them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So for those interested in using this platform, tell me really quickly, if a retailer is interested in placing an order on your platform, what do they need to do? And also, if a vendor wants to show their products on your platform, what do they need to do?
So the whole Brandwise ecosystem is built on each individual has their own presence. If you are each person, and then they'll connect to a business. Basically, for a retailer, they'll create what's called a Brandwise passport, which is actually a single logon that they'll be able to use with over 170 agencies across the country, plus multiple associations and other pieces. That doesn't have any charge. They'll be able to connect multiple individuals from one company to that same business. So it'll all be unified in one account. And then that individual, if they went to work from one store to another store, they actually could take their passport with them and attach to another business, which is quite convenient. And when it comes to vendors, it's a similar process. Vendors will be able to sign up. They'll be able to participate. They sign an agreement, and the actual onboarding is pretty simple. We're launching a Museum Store Association marketplace tomorrow. And in a couple of weeks, we have well over 100 that are up and running, and about 90 of them never worked with Brandwise before. And they've load their data in a couple hours.
Yeah, I think the other key thing to keep in mind is we talked about 290,000 retailers. So of those, we have about 70,000 now that have active passports. So any of those retailers, and by the end of the year, it's increasing pretty steadily. So, we hope to have significantly more by year's end. That when Big Map launches, they'll be able to go to Big Map directly with their passport. So that'll give it a huge kickstart right off the bat. By the same token, any suppliers that are of the 3,700 suppliers that work in the Brandwise ecosystem, those that are working with agencies or their own brands that have Reach 2.0 sites, which is built on the new technology, their product data, their image data, all of their assets are automatically distributed to any Brandwise platform. So whether it's a rep on their iPad, or whether it's a reach site for a specific agency, or a reach site for a supplier, or a marketplace, it's one load of data, and they receive their orders through one stream as well. So it makes it very simple and easy for them to onboard. And we put on the web page that we've got up now, talking about Big Map, which we just launched along with this. We have a place for retailers, reps, and salespeople, and suppliers to go ahead and get information if they're interested, and we'll start to go on that. But for all of these types of things, it's
Wait, you left out the prizes, Todd.
What's that?
You left out the prizes. So for
I'll let them read about the prizes. We don't.
We say the retailer, if you register, you enter a chance to win a $3,000 shopping spree on Big Map. A rep, if you register for more information, you get a chance to win a brand new iPad so you can show it off to all your friends. And supplier wins 6 months of no transaction fees. So but also retailers can go in today and they can create a passport and use that also to start accessing hundreds of agencies across the country who already use this system. And the convenience there is that they keep their data in one place.
Yeah, and one last differentiator that pulls into that. So if I'm a retailer, and convenience is a big thing, right? So convenience, what's easy for them? So now they're shopping in a multitude of different places. just because that's the way it is. One of the benefits too of having your Brandwise passport, when you go into each of the different individual sites, you'll have order history based on that site. So if I go to an agency, whether it was taken by my sales rep or I placed it online, I can see all of those orders. So it consolidates that very nicely. The roadmap includes, as a retailer's in their passport, which isn't associated with anybody except themselves, that they can see their order history across everything they purchased in the ecosystem. So it becomes really relevant and very easy for them to find all of the orders they placed with their reps, orders that they placed on the web that have been interacted with their reps, or orders that they placed in a territory perhaps that didn't have representation. They'll still have all that history. So some really big conveniences for the retailers when they're looking for all of that.
Yeah. And it looks like some people are curious about the cost that would be involved. Is it free to retailers? What sort of cost is involved for?
Yep. So there's no cost to retailers. Across the board, while they're a stakeholder that's a recipient of all of this, they're not somebody that we want to charge. They're key to the industry, so we want them to thrive. The low fee that we've mentioned, as people get more in, they'll see what we're talking about specifically in regards to that, is based on when an order gets to the supplier. So short of that, there's no fees. There's no fees to join. There's no fees to get your product up and have it discovered. It's only when an order gets placed and gets delivered all the way through that there's a fee charge, and it gets charged to the supplier.
Okay. And I know with some digital ordering platforms that have been in the news in the last few years, they have offered, certain terms or benefits like, free returns if it doesn't sell, or net 60 or even net 90 terms. Our brand, is Big Mac doing anything like that, or are brands allowed to advertise any terms like that?
So brands are allowed to advertise any terms that they like. So that's up to the brand. So they can have one or many payment terms and shipping methods, and that's by individual brand, because everything we do is business rules by brand, even though it's global. Yeah. But what we did, we made a very conscious decision based on everything else that was going on to have a fee that left room for the brands to do anything that they wanted to for the retailer. So whether it was, there's enough margin based on your point about some of these other marketplaces that were saying net 60, net 90, free freight, all that, their fees are significantly higher.
As high as,
say,
let's 25%.
Yeah, I mean, a very modest fee that allows each of the brands to figure out of the suppliers what's best for them. So whether it's a discount or it's free freight or it's, all of that type of stuff. So initially out of the gates, that's where our mindset is. Doesn't mean that we're closed-minded to if there's people down the road that say, if we partner with Big Map, maybe we can offer terms, or we can offer returns, or we can offer fulfillment. Those are things that we'd be open-minded to. But from a Brandwise perspective, we want to stay in our zone, which is developing the platform and helping expedite the sales process. And then these other things can be handled by those that know, that's our sweet spot in business.
And all of this really mirrors the experience of our marketplace. We live in a capitalist society where people offer different promotions and deals and opportunities and make decisions. And that's worked really well. And so for us, our job isn't to set those rules. And also some of those rules are, while it might seem that they're all positive, there's some trade-offs there, if you read the fine print. But the one part that we know is that for a supplier, getting a new account is incredibly important for a brand. There's no question it's important for a retailer, and discoverability is key. 25% of that goes, often on these platforms, goes to that company. That really limits a lot of flexibility that supplier can have, if a typical sales commission is much less than that. So with that, what we're doing is we're saying we're providing this tool, which we believe absolutely has that value. When you consider what it costs to do, a lot of other ways in order to get new accounts, there's a lot of tools out there that are still working. So for us, we want to leave that space, as Todd said, for everyone to make their own decisions. And there are mechanisms out there to accomplish a lot of that. And the other part that's happened is suppliers, seeing a certain precedents have been set by some of those global marketplaces, suppliers are starting to mirror some of those offers as well, because they still want to have that opportunity to work directly with them. So as the market's gonna settle out, we'll see. But we've decided to leave this in the hands of the suppliers, and we think that is a strong base.
Absolutely. Well, I know if they have any more questions, they can certainly visit Brandwise website, brandwise.com. They can email info@brandwise.com, or visit, is it bigmap.net? Is that correct?
Bigmap.net.
Correct. Yep. Yeah,
So-
which right now is a marketing page. And as you mentioned early in 2021, it will actually be the Big Map page, but it'll give you information and ways to contact us there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This was really exciting news. Thank you so much for taking the time to share it with us, and congratulations.
For having us.
Well, thanks
Thanks
very
so much.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.